Photographing a long trip like this is kind of a luxury because once I kind of have the necessary shots out of the way, so to speak, I can dig a lot deeper into not just what it's like to be out there paddling, but what all the details are like. You know, how you feel when you're paddling for 12 hours at a time, what it's like to find a camp spot, set up camp, cook your food, go to sleep, wake up the next morning, make coffee, all those sort of in-between moments that happen between the major things. If I have multiple days, I can get into the trip more as a participant. The end result is I think the photos are better because I can dig deeper into the experience as someone who actually experienced the trip rather than just someone who was there to observe. So one of the big challenges of photographing a river trip like this is there are only so many ways you can see the river and photograph the river from inside a kayak. And for me, that meant maybe paddling ahead of everyone and shooting back as they pass me, or waiting behind so I could get like a really far shot of everyone paddling ahead. Sometimes I'd try and stand up in the kayak to take pictures from a slightly elevated angle, or I might go ashore and climb up on the banks to shoot people paddling by. And what that meant was a lot of times I wasn't paddling, and so I'd fall very far behind. These guys are all pretty strong paddlers, so it was always kind of a challenge for me to keep up. Over 8 days, I shot about 7,000 photos, and going through all those photos after the trip is a real challenge, but that's really, for me, the fun part. I definitely spent more time on the edit than I did actually shooting the photos. I think my favorite photos are always ones that come about through serendipity, right? So when something surprising happens or something unexpected happens, I think that always leads to what ends up being my favorite photos. It might be a weather event, like amazing clouds that just come out of nowhere and then disappear, or maybe it's Kemp unexpectedly falling out of the boat, or seeing cool birds or wild animals or fish, or encountering people unexpectedly on the river. And then there's, you know, some photos that stand out to me are just ones that seem to capture the atmosphere of a special moment on the river. Maybe it was the physical atmosphere, like there was a lot of fog, or it was early morning, or it was a cool sunrise, or it was just sort of a quiet moment that somehow comes through in the photograph. And sometimes it's just a little detail that makes the difference in a photo for me.